Let's see, will we have any big news, little news, medium news? We'll have to see with this LUMIX Live special report from Las Vegas. We've got NAB coming up right around the corner, and in some ways it's kind of already happening with all the news and announcements. We've got DJI with some new stuff. Frame.io has announced some new stuff. I think Blackmagic has some new stuff they're already teasing on their website. I think that announcement is in like a day. Who else has made a Aperture has the new Infinimat. LUMIX is doing something right now. Curious to see what this is all about. They're going to go live, so might as well be live too. Just talk about it. People hoping for a GH7. I'd love to see a GH7. Who it is time for a GH7. Ever since the G9 Mark II, kind of just sitting there waiting, going, when's the GH7? GH6, love that camera. It's great. Has all the missing pieces that I needed, except for one thing, which was the phase detect autofocus. Now that I got it on the G9 Mark II, what's the GH7 going to bring? I know what I'd want. Internal ND filters. Electronic internal ND. A fixed lens full frame camera. Oh, like the Fuji style. I don't know about that. Seems like a very popular, supposedly. But the Fuji, what is it? The X106? Is that what they're on? Sold out, apparently. But I don't, what volume is that? If you make 100, you sell out. No, I assume it's very popular. By all accounts, everyone says that new Fujifilm fixed lens camera is very popular, but I do wonder. The shortages is not always... It's good hype. It's good marketing. It's good publicity. Oh, we ran out. It's so popular. We ran out. Well, if you made more, would you have run out? Would they have all sold still? I don't know. Robert says there's not really much I feel like I'm missing from the S5 2X. Gosh, these names are the differentiators between the alphabetical, the GH, the S, the R, the A, the alpha. That's fine. And then they add the number to determine the variant. Okay. So the A7, all right, the GH6. Once you start getting into the Mark 1, Mark 2, and then you add even more variables after that with the X and the R's and the S1H, then people are like, well, is it going to be the S2H? Well, probably not, because of the way they name these SKUs. It seems like the S2 would be radically different than an S1, but then you called it the S1H. So is it the S1H Mark II? Is that how many letters and numbers we need? It's almost like a license plate. I'm trying to remember license plates for all these cameras. Goodness, I kind of do like what Red did, where they just named it something. The Epic, the Scarlet, the Dragon. Those are so easy to remember. But of course, even they went down the rabbit hole of what's the Epic X or the Epic M, the Scarlet M, the Scarlet X, the Dragon this, the Monstro this, the V-Raptor 8K. Gosh, what are they on now? XL. Is it the XL? I think just simplify. Just call it the Komodo. Komodo, that's the one we got. DJI has this rabbit hole of all their drones. What do you got? The Mavic 3 Pro, Mavic 3 Classic, but the Pro came out first. So how's if the new one's the Classic? I don't understand. Don't understand. Think simpler. I think it'd actually make it more intuitive and user-friendly for regular people who are shooting on their iPhone and they're excited, they want to start making YouTube videos, or they want to get into photography and they're trying to look at what's the best, what's the right one. And you've got models that are like the A6300, the A6400, the A6500, and you're wondering, all right, which one? How do I know which is the better one? Is it the bigger number? Because in Sony's world, no, that's not true. You want like the A, you want the single number. You don't want 2, you don't want the FX30, you want the FX3, because that's the better one. The more numbers, the worse. Worse, quote unquote. They all have a purpose, they all have a place. But it's really hard to track. I think if you're a regular person, you're not involved in all this. You're looking from the outside going, what? Xbox. The Xbox Series X or the Xbox Series S, but then you have the Xbox One X and the Xbox One S. What is the difference? What does series mean? PlayStation? PlayStation 1? PlayStation 2? PlayStation 3? Did they have variants of that? They did have slim models, which is fine. It's like the body style. Okay, it's slim. We made it smaller. And they got the PS4 Pro or Plus. No, just PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. You got a new one? Call it the PlayStation 6. Got a new one? PlayStation 7. Xbox. 1, 2, 3. Come on. Nintendo. No, they even do it. They even make that mistake. And the Nintendo Entertainment System. Great, classic. Super Nintendo. Great, classic, awesome. N64, awesome. GameCube, cool. We're giving them names now. Wii, all right. The Wii U? I don't know about that one. Okay, we'll do the Switch. Cool. Okay, the Switch Lite. What does that mean? What's the difference? Switch, is there an XL? Is there a Switch 2? Gets a little confusing. And those are some of the most popular devices that, you know, anyone could buy. Apple does it. They do a pretty good job. They call the Pro ones the Pro. If they get into the SKUs, the C, the S. I don't know. I just don't like it. Well, at this point, I think the stream is late. Why hasn't the stream started showing yet? Yeah, it's official anticipation for something great, right? New firmware adding animals and card detection. Car? An improved human detection recording proxy would be a nice option to have. I don't think I'd use it all the time, but that is a feature I appreciate about the Sony cameras. Even on the mirrorless ones, you can shoot proxy files alongside your full res stuff. It gets a little confusing tracking it down in post-production. It can anyway, if you have a lot of communication with different editors or whatever it might be. But just having the option to do proxies if you want or need it, find yourself in a situation, just doing it as you're filming feels better than, okay, I've copied all my footage over, I've done all my data management, but now I've got to add this extra layer of creating the proxies. It's not a big deal. You can run it overnight.
Effective distortion compensation
allows
users to activate the high-powered EIS option for correcting phenomenon where straight lines start to get distorted while the camera's in movement. This option will prove great usability for users that are in situations where fast, handheld movement is required with smooth results.
It's probably on their end. It can be tough.
Now shifting to burst photography improvements. The S5 Mark II and the S5 Mark IIX are receiving the highly acclaimed pre-burst functionality that was released with the G9 Mark II. Within the S5 Mark II and the Mark IIX, users will be able to take advantage of that 30 frames per second burst mode already on the cameras for both autofocus single and autofocus continuous, while also now applying the pre-burst functionality, which gives you an option for a half second, 1 second, or 1.5 second pre-burst of stills. Now these pre-burst...
Oh, and we're beach balling. What do we call this little symbol?
Now, to give users better choices while working in the field, the S5 Mark II and the S5 Mark IIX are also receiving autofocus detection improvements that were introduced with the G9 Mark II. These improvements are including a refinement to the human detection option, which produces more accurate detection for subjects like the human body, head, face, and eyes, while also introducing the brand new animal
if only
eye
they could have
detection.
pre-burst this broadcast.
The user interface for these detection options has also been unified with the experience found from the G9 Mark II.
It's tough. It's tough streaming.
Users can
NAB.
choose to recognize various subjects separately instead of using one combined detection set of algorithms for everything. In addition to the human eye, face, and body detection, as well as the animal eye detection, the S5 Mark II and the S5 Mark IIX will also be receiving the brand new car and motorcycle detection that was
Okay, car and motorcycle. All right, here we're
released with the G9 Mark II,
again.
further expanding the detection and autofocus confidence.
Go to the announcement page. Let's see what's the announcement page.
On
you
the
know,
LUMIX
it'd be easy
new
to find
ecosystem.
if LUMIX had a proper
Another great
website,
feature that's
but
been added in
unfortunately
with
they
this
don't.
new firmware is the
Panasonic
ability to
website.
record with proxy files.
Right,
now, proxy files.
20 years, Andrew. Proxy files. I heard it. I heard him say proxy recording settings.
When it comes to actually recording with proxy files, you'll be able to select 3 different versions of proxy. You'll have a high, a medium, and a low. And the high option and medium option will both be in 1080p 420 10-bit, while the low option will be in 420 8-bit at 720p.
Proxy's great.
Now, Panasonic LUMIX has had a long
I hope that's on the
history
G9 Mark II,
of providing
not just
free
the
firmware
S5
updates that aim to enhance the usability of our cameras throughout the years. This new suite of firmware updates added for the S5 Mark II and the S5 Mark IIX are a continuation of our philosophy of continual improvement within the LUMIX line. But our improvements to the LUMIX line of cameras doesn't stop at the autofocus and stabilization improvements. Let's discuss some of the other features that have been added in with this brand new firmware update for the S5 Mark II and the S5 Mark IIX.
So we're just talking about firmware for the S5 II and the S5 IIX.
Hi, I'm Matt Frazier, and I'm coming to you live from Las Vegas right now. What I'm going to talk about are features that will be exclusive to the US market. These are features that are focused on volume photographers. Volume photographers are people who are shooting like school photography, they're doing youth sports photography. That's like a lot of pictures of people and need good organizational tools. So you'll be able to unlock special features by downloading an unlock code from the Panasonic US website. These features will include the ability to take a Bluetooth barcode scanner and pair that to the S5 II and the S5 IIX. So you can embed student data directly into the photo file. In addition, we'll have frame masks specifically for portraits, team sports, as well as group photography. So those are the features that'll be coming in our next firmware update.
So there's also a lot that we haven't talked about yet. Maybe
it's so interesting, the choppiness of their stream, because every frame is clean. We're not dealing with compression. So it's
our company name is Wild as Heck. We partner with independent women artists and apply their artwork to
compression for the live. It's just this is the full res.
My company is Matrimony Films. We do
so that's why we're getting
like
1 frame per second.
We have 3 teams that go out.
I was talking about video games a lot before the stream. Now I feel like we're
content for us. Basically, try to
back in 2002 dealing with lag.
What's
your ping?
The most beautiful way we possibly can.
So the PPA is Professional Pickleball Association. I'm in charge of the media department.
The stream is in burst mode.
The on-site media team that captures all the media, all the players, all the action shots, everything that goes into what goes on in a tournament for PPA.
Quite simply, Cam to Cloud bring to the camera. The process of offloading footage can mean a shooter might need to leave the action to get the footage into my editorial pipeline. Cam to Cloud makes that happen in the background, so the shooter never.
So Cam to Cloud is built in. That's
the longer
pretty cool.
A product is sitting on my shelf, the longer I'm losing money on it. When I'm running everything by myself, I really do have a limited time frame, and having to spend all my time on set for hours and hours inhibits what I can do that day. So Camera to Cloud allows me to not be on set. I can be working on other things while getting the real-time visuals of what's happening on set so that I can give feedback as we go.
The point of difference for us is we do same-day edits where they literally see the entire events of the day happen right in front of their eyes. For the last 20 years, we've been doing same-day edits, but we've been doing them in, like a very archaic way, right? Like an editor on site, load that footage, ingest it.
Data management is one of the hardest parts, and then post-production is notoriously just slow. You can spend a day filming and get great footage, and then it's okay, well, now I got to get this card to a computer, now I got to offload it, now I got to set up the project. If all that's happening while you're filming, I think that's a huge step up, especially if you're looking for something in terms of speed, efficiency.
That's all seamless. It automatically populates.
And I really do like Frame IO. I think it works really well for the most part. We'll see if that continues.
Hiring somebody who isn't immediately local to me just the thought of having to fly them in to manage these shoots and the added expense that that would bring wasn't something that I could really
I wonder if this
do.
camera to cloud is for
Having
both
the
video
camera to
and
cloud,
stills,
the
or if it's
speed
just
with which
stills. They
I
set up
can
this section
change
talking about what they call them, high bandwidth photographers. What the you know,
and
school sports,
adjust
that kind
is
of stuff.
so wonderful. We
And they're
can
showing a lot of.
communicate
I can't
easily.
tell
They
if
can
it's photos or
communicate
videos
so
because
that
the
they
stream
can
is so
really nail the
choppy.
marketing ideas that we're trying to put into place.
With this cam to cloud technology, we're talking
I hope
about
it's both. I hope it's
all
video
of this
and
is
photo.
instantaneous. We're working with proxies where we've got everything coming in, and he's working on that edit within minutes of receiving the footage, and he's dropping it in and doing it anywhere in the world that he wants to be. He can be in the comfort of his own edit bay at his house, at our studio. It's incredible the difference that this software is making in our business specifically.
Panasonic.
All right, so I'm sure you have questions about Frame.io camera to cloud, and we brought a special guest on who's got some questions and answers for us. Hey, Matthew, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Great to be here.
Yeah, so as we can see, Matthew had a sneak peek of our Frame.io implementation, correct?
I sure did.
Yeah. All right. So what do you think? Did we do okay?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's a total game changer for me and my company, the way we're going to be able to deliver so many more same day edits to our customers than we ever thought possible is exciting. Not to mention, like, lots of times we have 3 teams of guys.
Yeah.
So we can be doing 3 of them at the same time with one editor.
It sounds like maybe this is
wherever in the
camera to
world
cloud
it
is only for the S5
So I don't want to give away
2X.
too much about
Okay,
what your
okay.
future looks like with this. What I really want to focus on right now is the workflow that you currently do. Because frankly, it blew my mind that you're actually trying to do same day wedding edits. And we're not talking like same day and then you're like emailing it to the client or having them do a Dropbox download. This is, they're seeing this at the wedding within like a few minutes of the cake cutting, right?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, we're filming all day, and we, you know, traditionally in the past have been pulling cards out of our camera, handing them to the editor. The editor has to go ingest them into the computer, and then, you know, put them into his workflow, and then edit on site the day of the wedding. It's taking, you know, 8 hours to edit a project. But then
Weddings
at the
are
end of the night,
brutal, man.
we put up a
Weddings.
projector and screen, and we show it to the bride and groom right there on the dance floor at the reception.
Well, and
Those demands.
your history in
I
this
need it
really
now.
is a 20+ year history. So it wasn't SD cards originally.
Oh my gosh.
It's cool you can do it.
No, I had a Panasonic DVX 100.
Oh.
Yeah,
So
DVX
we
100.
used, yeah, mini DV tape.
Okay.
And we used
Boo,
to
mini
actually
DV tape.
pull shots off of the tape. And it's one, you know, like it's the transfer rate is a minute to a minute, right? So a minute of footage is going to take a minute to transfer. And, you know, that's before you bring it into the project and then do all that stuff. with it.
GH7
But,
or shut up.
But yeah,
well.
it used to take a ridiculous amount of time.
So far, this is
from tapes,
it's cool. I'm glad
finding
they're
a shot
updating the
onto that
firmware,
piece
but I
of
think
tape
that's like a press
and then
release
bringing it
moment. I
into
mean,
the
you could
computer.
do
Okay, so then
a
your
live
first
stream, I
major
suppose. There's nothing
milestone
wrong
to
with it.
enhance your workflow really was digital. And
But
the
when it's
implementation
NAB
of SD
time, when
cards
you got
and
new
memory
products
card for
coming from
storage.
Yeah, oh my
DJI,
gosh. When we got to SD cards,
Aperture,
we were
frames
like,
updating to the
yeah,
new
it was a
version 4,
huge,
Blackmagic's
you know,
got something
upgrade
on the
in the
horizon.
ability for us to do it more seamlessly, a lot faster.
I have to imagine you got deeper into the wedding.
Yeah,
also,
why would you
right?
want to see the wedding
so
while still at the
first
wedding?
with the tapes, we would maybe
It's
pull like
cool.
10 to 15 shots.
I think
and
maybe it's like a background
put
video,
music to
just
it,
a
and so
highlights of the
maybe
day.
be
I can see
maybe a
that,
minute
but
long, maybe.
let's all watch this
And that
while
was
we're
still a
still
magic
here.
trick, but then we get
Feels a little
SD
strange.
cards, and now it's
The best
like,
thing for
oh, wait a
weddings is
second,
watching
we could
them like
do
10
like
years
a
later.
mini highlight.
I've
We
talked
could do
about
a
that recently,
2-minute,
just finishing up like
3-minute,
all the stuff from
and
my
then
wedding that
as
I
we
put
got better
together
at that, and
10
a
years
little
after the
faster with
fact.
our
And that
workflow,
actually
we were
gives you
like,
the
how
nostalgia,
far into
gives you the
wedding can we
memories,
get?
gives you
My
the
editor started
feels.
to get a little cocky, and he was like, oh, maybe if I
Don't
get
make your
a
clients
shot
wait
of
10
the,
years. That's
you know,
not
like
advice.
something from the speeches and throw that in at the end. But with this technology, it's, I mean, he's editing real time. We're going to be able to get an entire highlight, maybe, you know, like basically all the way up till seconds before we show it, right?
Well, and what I think is interesting is that on the photography side, we've seen a trend in weddings where the photographer is almost now expected to be able to put together a slideshow of the ceremony during the meal service, right?
Yep.
But this whole wedding video, you know, same day edit is very unique that you're doing.
Yeah, not a lot of people are as crazy as we are and try to actually turn around a highlight, like a 3-minute highlight on the day of the wedding is gutsy.
Well, and so when you're doing your work, then you don't even have access to those like photo functions now, those photos that are being taken, right?
Traditionally, never. No.
And so with this Frame.io solution, effectively what we can do is we can set up
where do we go
a
for the
single
news?
project,
Instagram?
and we can give access
Probably.
to the wedding photographers.
Probably
if they
these
have Frame.io
days.
access. Their photos
Sad as it is, some of the best places to get news
pulling
is
those
social
photo
media.
files down and doing the photo edits while you're culling their photos, looking for little riches that you can go ahead and put in.
What do we got?
Ken
Okay,
Burns kind of effect into some of those
LUMIX
photos.
is excited to announce a
introduce
significant
that into
free
our
firmware
3-minute
update
video at the
for
end
our
of the
full
night.
frame
We'll have a
mirrorless
nice
S5 Mark II and
hybrid
S5 Mark II
highlight
X.
with beautiful photos. Oh my gosh, that's
What's
awesome.
new?
All right, so something that's new for LUMIX
Native camera to
is
cloud.
the ability to do these proxy files. Do you find proxy files to have been useful?
Yes,
in your
proxy
same-day
files.
workflows?
Yes. We're going to mute them for a moment. Proxy video recording, real-time autofocus recognition, animal eye, car, motorcycle recognition. Okay, great. So G9 Mark II stuff, that's what they're talking about. Enhanced EIS performance and SH pre-burst shooting. It's kind of interesting. The announcements are almost backwards from how they put them in the video. But it doesn't really matter. Just an interesting thing, I suppose. Proxy video recording, I probably would use the most along with the camera to cloud if that actually works. The problem I've had with any of the wireless streaming directly from camera, in a perfect world, it would work perfectly. And yet, unfortunately, it just doesn't. It's buggy. I don't want to say that the bandwidth isn't there, because a lot of times there's issues you get with Wi-Fi, certainly, where the router might not be configured right, or the service provider or the mobile carrier will throttle in bursts, in increments. So you'll be trying to do a live stream from a camera or something. You've got all your settings, you're connected, it's all good. And for whatever reason, there's like a slight incompatibility, or there's some problem that you can't fix because you just got a camera. That's all you got, and you connect it to a network. And it's not a bandwidth speed thing, because a lot of times you'll have the speed, but it's not consistent. And I feel like that's the biggest problem. Maybe not so much with camera to cloud, as long as you can stay connected to the network. I feel like that's the biggest gripe I would have. If I constantly have to reconnect, if I'm constantly losing signal, I'd be irritated by that. And it has to work. It's not one of those things that if it kind of works, then I'm not going to use it. Because the moment it doesn't work just one time, I can't rely on it. I can't trust it. And now I'm troubleshooting this wireless data situation. So it really has to be bulletproof. And thankfully, Frame has been working on camera to cloud for a few years now. So I'm glad to see it's becoming more integrated into cameras. I think more of those integrations are valuable across, like, we were talking about LiDAR and that kind of stuff. Putting that into the camera makes a lot of sense, but it has to work. It can't be like this live stream.
Same day turnaround. My visions for this were a little bit different than what you're doing, which was that for social media deliverables, being able to cut like a sizzle reel for social media deliverables that I can just quickly, when the bride and groom are heading off to the honeymoon suite, I could eventually email them a nice little sizzle reel that they're able to post to their social media, before they even get to the hotel. Do you think that workflow would work in this situation?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The content creator is such a big deal at weddings nowadays. And a lot of people will take that 3-minute same day edit that we're going to be able to do much more often now.
Yeah.
And they'll be able, we can deliver that to them, and they'll be able to cut, their own little 15-second. A lot of brides are like, they want the control. They
say this firmware will go live April 21st at 9 p.m. So if you're an S5 II or S5 2X shooter, it's technically the S5 II firmware version 3 and the S5 2X firmware version 2.
Yeah, and so while I think
I'm not sure why a camera separated by an X is a whole firmware version apart, but
getting a head start on
maybe those cameras are substantially more different than I expected.
I think that Frame.io,
I thought the S5 2X was basically just the blacked out, maybe had some slightly better features of, as far as what you can record.
From what you're telling me, it seems
but I don't know why they're off a whole firmware version number. This is according to Instagram. I'm reading their Instagram. It says they're on version
for so many wedding videographers
3 and version 2
to be able to turn something around so quickly.
It's nice if you have a S5 II, and I like, hopefully these features.
You just put shots.
Okay, mute. hopefully these features remain, and it's one of those things now that they're built into the S5 II, they can be applied hopefully to the G9 Mark II, as well as any future cameras. Proxy recording, thank you. Thank you. Very glad to see that. Camera to cloud, like I said, as long as it's bulletproof, I really like that. They were talking about barcode scanning. That was kind of hard to follow on the stream because it chopped out there for a moment, but that could be interesting. I imagine if you're that type of photographer and you're doing those type of events and you need to tag, okay, I took a picture of this person, what's their name? Having that functionality built right in, that could save you a little bit of hassle. Plenty of those jobs out there, so this probably applies to a lot of people. I've never actually done anything like that before. So there's probably, you know, third-party systems you have to buy to kind of do that. I don't even know how it works, but if it can be built right into the camera, fantastic. Real-time autofocus recognition. Yeah, that's just the updates. And then the pre-burst, which is, I guess, nice to have. I've never used it. Gosh, I got to think if I would ever want to use pre-burst. It'd have to be a certain scenario.
Well, I had a very small role, not a whole lot more of it. So
you're the best.
All right, thanks. All right, so as you can see, we are really excited for Frame.io. And as mentioned by Samora, we're partnering with companies like Leica, like Frame.io for camera to cloud. So keep an eye out for additional partnerships that we'll be offering in the future.
Fade to black. What do we got? Is this over? Is that it? Are we done? Don, they had to do a special report for this. Why? That's a good question. I don't want to say that it's wrong, but it also feels like you want more. You want people to be excited. You want the hype, and you're never going to satisfy everybody. It's just not the case with it. It's not going to happen. So it is what it is, I suppose. It is what it is. S5 II and 2X firmware updates. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. I'd rather see some other things in addition to. It's not like I said, like proxy recording. Thank you. Yes, proxies. Camera to cloud. Let's go. It's NAB. Maybe there's more. Maybe there's more, but I don't know. Hopefully, we'll see.